Hey guys, welcome to Bar Z. My name's Stan, and today we're doing another Vevor. These guys they send me stuff. I've been around to some of the Chinese websites. The Vevor site's pretty good. A lot of tools, a lot of stuff we like. So, and it's out of all of them, out of all the import places, they're kind of easy to navigate, not too bad. So, they sent me this free of charge. And it's in a decent case. I think it's a blow molded case or injection molded case. And what we're going to show you here today is a set of annular cutters. These go from 1 inch all the way up to 2 inch. They're all a 2-inch depth of cut, and they all have a 3/4 shank. And they've got 2 flats on them, and they're made to do on a mag drill, but that doesn't mean we can't use them on the milling machine. We've got 3/4 arbors on the milling machine, and they do have these are either called guide pins or ejector pins. That's got a center point on it, and it fits very tightly down here. Now on a mag drill inside the arbor, there's a return spring on this, so your center would actually be spring loaded, so it ejects the slug out of the center. These only cut on the circumference of the hole, or on a diameter kind of. So it does leave a slug, and they do give you a way to extract them. They give you 2 ejector pins. But if you wanted to come up with your own arbor, you probably could. You could make your own arbor with a couple of set screws in it to hit those flats, and make a recess for a spring so it spring loads, follows your center punch mark properly. And there's times where all you want to do is get a hole in something, get something roughed in and started. There's the big one in the set. That's a 2-inch. Let you kind of zoom in on that, maybe kind of hold it still for you. See the way the grind is staggered on each one? It looks like it'll cut really well. If you look at this tooth, you see how it's relieved, and this tooth is full size. Relieved, full size, all the way around. So you've got cutting surfaces all the way around the perimeter, and it also cuts fairly well on the side. Now I'm not going to say you can use it as an end mill. I don't think I'd want to try that, only with a 3/4 shank. But there's no reason why we can't just drop this into a 3/4 collet and make it work. And I've got a job for it. What I'm working on. And usually you start out center drill, start stepping up in drill bits, maybe drop a big end mill in there, just get a hole in it. Let me move the camera over and show you what I've been working on. This is a big angle plate, and it's a bolt together type angle plate. What I got here in the back are some big triangles. Those are 1 inch thick. And I want to get some lightning holes in it, just get a decent hole in it, and maybe they work as grab handles. This plate's going to be a kind of a wonker. Let me walk you around the back side of it real quick. This plate's going to be kind of a pig. There's going to be slots in this base that line up with the T-slots in my table on the milling machine. And this is just a bolt together. I don't think I'm going to weld this together. I got a series of patterns of 1/2-inch drilled and tapped patterns. I got one big hole in the center of it just to lighten it up, and a place for me to get in there and grab it, just to pick it up. And it'd be nice to have some big holes in here just to grab it and move it around. Then the rest down here is going to be slots to pick up the T-slots on the table. So kind of a big angle plate. I don't remember the dimensions of it. I think it's 12 by 14, but good size. These holes here are that's where I'm going to bolt the gussets in. So these 2 and these 2 here bolt in those triangular gussets, and it's all put together with 1/2-inch hardware. And these will be counterbored or maybe even countersunk, but they'll be subsurface. Okay. But right now I need to get some holes in these triangles. Let's use our new 2-inch annular cutter and punch a hole in those things. Well, this is kind of something like I want to do here. I think we'll get us a nice big 2-inch hole there. And we got hardware coming in this way, and we got hardware coming in this way here. So I want to make sure I'm clear of those, and I don't want to leave a paper thin webbing out in the back. But you know, we've got a full set of these things. We could maybe do a 1-inch hole there and there. That would look cool. Maybe I'm getting too crazy. I think at least a 2-inch hole in that center. But I got 2 of those to drill. Let's go get it set up on the milling machine. We're just going to put that in a 3/4 collet, and we're going to use anchor lube to protect it. And we're going to see how she cuts. See if they got all their grind angles right, and see if we should see individual shards coming off of every single tooth all the way around that thing. It should just come up like paper thin chips all the way around, all equal. All right, so let's get it on the milling machine and see how we do. Okay, well, let's see how this thing's gonna fit in a collet. Feels nice. It doesn't have a whole lot of purchase area. Be careful with these things too, by the way. They are they're spinning razors, incredibly sharp. So let's tighten it in the collet here, and we're gonna pick back gear for sure. We're gonna run it pretty damn slow. I'm gonna guess a 2-inch without checking the speed chart. Maybe 180 to 220, somewhere in there for speed. Okay, let's see how it spins. There's 180 RPM there. Looks like it's spinning pretty straight. Let's get some of these tools out of here. And you know, I've got you guys mounted on my toolbox right now because I've already been through that whole thing where I had it mounted directly to the milling table, and as soon as the tool made contact, you know, I got a bunch of vibration, and it went into like autofocus mode. I'll tighten that collet down a little bit more. All right, we're gonna get some anchor lube going. This stuff is great for punching holes, great for a rotary. I don't know whether you really consider this a rotary broach. There is a company called Rotabroach that does sell annular cutters. Anyways, we're going to use anchor lube on it. Just put a pile of it there on my vise. Get a rag over here, and see how we do. That is 180 RPM. And without a guide pin, table locked, knee locked, vice locked. See if it gets chattery. It does not. And it's just putting out the shards like it's supposed to. I'll punch through. And that's it. And our slug, looks like it fell out. So actually the geometry on the inside of the cutter is good. I heard the slug hit the vise. Can't really fish it out of there. But the slug's down at the bottom. So pretty good. That hole was just, we call that self-spacing. Whatever diameter you're cutting, make that the same dimension you bring it in from the end. So 2-inch hole, 2-inch on center from the end. That you know, in theory, that left us 1 inch from the edge. So pretty easy to get a hole in that. You know, outside of the shavings flying everywhere. But you're going to get that with an end mill. Maybe not with a drill if you peck drill it. I tried pecking this, and all it does is let chips jam up down in the circumference of the cut. So I don't think even peck drilling is the way to go. You could probably use your auto feed with this thing, and just let it fly and let it frickin' bundle up, because it's gonna bundle up. All right, so 2-inch was a success. I'm super happy with that. That's awesome. Cut quality's good. The holes, a little scored looking. You know, this is just 836 steel, nothing fancy. This is not tool steel or anything special. All right, but let's get our 1-inch holes punched, and then we'll kind of review what we think of this thing. Okay, same drill, no pun intended. We've switched the annular cutter out from a 2-inch to an 1.5 inch. Again, self-spaced from the back edge, and spaced it over equal by equal over here, and then we'll swap over there. So I'll have 3 lightning holes. The one big one in the middle is 2-inch, and then 2 others that are 1.5 inch. And that'll give you plenty of area to get your fingers in there and get that angle plate picked up. Okay, well, we got our plate done. 2-inch hole, 1.5 inch holes. So it's substantially lighter. And these are the slugs that came out of it. They were kind of trapped in there until I pulled the plate out. But each one of those released without incident. No problems, and those slugs coming out. And I didn't even have to use the ejector pins out of the kit. I thought maybe I'd have to pull the tool and knock each one out. The only thing is with annular cutters is they make a mess with the bird's nest, and you got to constantly stop. Now, I sped up through all those. First one was with anchor lube. Second one was with anchor lube. Third one I switched to oil, and it's just so I could keep the tool in the cut longer, because oil was more persistent and it would stay down in there. The anchor lube actually gets consumed in the process, and you have to re-lube. So I did switch to oil on the third one, and with favorable results, because it is such a long cut. So I fast forwarded through all those cuts. Actual cut time was about 3 minutes per cut. This one was a little bit longer. This one was about 3 minutes 20 seconds. These were almost 3 minutes on the dot. So I sped up those videos because you guys have seen a million holes drilled and watch people fight birds' nests all the time. Let's talk about a couple other things. First of all, you got the slugs, which you could probably take those over to the lathe, chuck them up, deburr them, make some weld-on bosses or something out of them, drill them, tap them, whatever. So if you've got a lot of holes to drill, your slugs can be reused for something else, be repurposed. Let's talk about the hole. First of all, the hole quality. It's just a drilled hole. It's not that great. You can see some scoring in there, and you can see on the edge of the tool, and you can't really see any traces of scoring. What happens is, and what was happening to me at least, as I'm plunging the cut, every time I pulled back out to re-lube, a few metal shavings would get caught down in the circumference of the cut, and then you go back down to bite on it, and a chip gets stuck on one tooth, and the whole tool skates. And when I say skating, that means none of the other teeth can come in contact with the work, and it just kind of skates along there, and you can't get through that one little chip that's spinning around stuck on a tooth. So you peck at it, get it to clear, and then you can resume your cut. That happened to me several times. Let's talk about hole size. These are interesting. What's wrong with those? Hey, they're left-handed. These are courtesy of Everett over at Everett's workshop. You know, he said he knew I damaged my hand, so he said, "Hey, I'm going to send you some left-handed calipers." That's 2 inch and 5/1000. And these take a little getting used to. So there's 2" 5/1000 on the 2" hole, so it's over, which is usually what happens to a drill bit. And on the 1.5" holes, let's see what we get here. I'm showing about 6/1000 over. That should be 1.5 on the dot, so it's 6/1000 over. That one's about 3.5 thou over. So oversized holes, pretty typical of any kind of a boring setup, but still very accurate. You know, if you need exactly a 2" hole, you better come back with a boring bar, because chances are those have some they're oval a little bit probably too. Let's talk about tool wear. I'll zoom you in on the actual tool. Let me find it. There's always going to be, people use the word perfect very lightly. There's a tooth there that was proud. You can see a little burned edge. It's always going to be in a couple spots. People use the word perfect. And even a grind like this isn't perfect. There's going to be one tooth that sits proud and always contacts the work first. There's another one right there. I don't know if you can even see that. There and there. And keep an eye on your tools. The first time you use them, a cutting tool that has multiple cutting teeth like this, you want to get it over, get an optivisor on, inspect the leading edge. You know, they always say the tip of the sword gets the dullest. So the tip of the sword is going to be those ones that sit proud. And just take yourself a little diamond file and, you know, keen those up. And eventually you'll wear those down where some of the other teeth are going to start mating up with it. So keep an eye on your tools. This is definitely not a Hogan, but you know, if you buy these, you didn't pay Hogan prices either. But people say, "Oh, that grind is perfect." There's no such thing as perfect. There's always another means of measuring something that can exceed your measuring capabilities and your cutting capabilities. And even if that instrument of measurement hasn't been invented yet, it's still out there. And then this one, these are the only two I used out of the kit. This one's going to have a leading edge somewhere that's, I know I saw it under a microscope. Oh, there it is, right there. Little bit of discoloration out there on the leading edge of that guy there. But no tool damage. You know, it's you can always tell where high-speed steel overheats. You know, it'll discolor slightly, and you'll see maybe a built-up edge. You know, maybe you'll get some material adhesion or something like that on it. But no, they held up well. I did find that oil works better than actual anchor lube, only because anchor lube gets consumed in the process, and you got to pull out of the cut. And these things like to be cutting all the time. Bird's nest be damned, you know. Anyways, a set of Vevor annular cutters. There they are right there in a case. No, you don't get a pair of dial calipers with it. Those are mine. But you get 1" to 2" ejector pins and some Allen wrenches, probably for arbors. But I didn't order any arbors. There's a link below. You get an extra 5% off if you use my link. And this kit was supplied to me by Vevor for review. I reviewed accuracy, ease of use, tool wear, hole quality. I don't know what else I can really look in on these things with, but you know, they did my my big plates quickly and easily. And this thing got substantially lighter after those holes got put in there. So I'm pretty happy with that. Those are going to go on my big angle plate real nice. Okay, so the cutting tools made it through the job without incident. There wasn't a lot of holes we had to cut. Of course, the air compressor has to start. As soon as I turn on the camera, that's the rules. The air compressor starts. But my gusset plates look good. Happy with them. And gives us a place to get in there get a hold of them, grab onto them. This is a lifting hole too, you know, so it's not quite so cumbersome. Not to mention it takes some weight out. You know, these slugs actually weigh something. So good tool for doing some lightning holes or to start your boring head. You know, if you've got just want to punch a great big hole to get a boring head started, it's the way to go. Annular cutting tools, 1 inch to 2 inch by Vevor.